Hi, my name's Rachel. I'm podcasting for the very first time. I am in Houston, Texas. I'm an avid knitter. In my day job, I'm an English teacher and the chair of an English department at a private school. I am a mom of 3 young adults who are all over the globe at the moment. And you may hear my lovely rescue dog Max in the background at times. I have been wanting to do this, as many people say when they start, for a very long time. And I have given myself a million reasons why I don't have the time or the energy, or mostly because I hate the way I look on camera. And that has really stopped me from wanting to engage in this. But I don't have a large community of knitters here, partly I suppose because of the weather and partly because of my real job being very time consuming. And so I really want to reach out and become part of this community that's become a really big part of my life. I usually overthink things when I do them and spend a lot of time preparing. And I have not done that with this. So this is me sort of winging it, trying it for the first time and seeing if it's something that I can do and if there's anybody out there who wants to see me do it. So I guess I'll begin with a recent finished object that I am proud of. It's a beautiful, very simple color work hat by Fiber Tales. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce the name of the pattern, but I'll show you it in a minute. The yarn is from Quince & Co. It's Lark, and I had not worked with their yarn before, and I absolutely love it. This is the Fiber Tales pattern. The chart was incredibly easy to follow, and I felt that you could really do it with very little previous color work experience at all. In fact, it would be a great first color work project. My only issue, and maybe this is just me, and I hope someone will reach out to me if they have an answer to this. I did the larger size, and I found that the decreases, the way the crown decreased, were insufficient, and I couldn't get it. Using their directions, I still had way too many stitches on the needles. So I winged it, and I did decreases kind of haphazardly my own way. I'm not thrilled with the way it looks. It's certainly functional and fine, and a non-knitter would never notice, but I'm sure someone with more experience than I have might be bothered by my sort of random decreases. But it was a fun pattern. I don't have a lot of use for hats in my climate, unfortunately. I would like to move back up east so I can have actual sweater weather. And hat weather and mitt weather and all of that, which we really don't have in Texas. But I have children, especially one of my children is in a much colder climate and happens to love hats and look great in them. So I am happy to keep him supplied and his girlfriend supplied, and anybody else who wants hats, I'm happy to make them. Okay, so I also really love shawls, and for my climate, shawls make a lot of sense. I work in a school that is kept very cool, which I love because I can run hot, but the classroom can be freezing some days, no matter what the weather outside is like, and I really love to have a shawl to kind of wrap up in. But even more than that, I find shawl knitting incredibly relaxing. One of the things that most draws me to knitting is the playfulness of colors. And I am, as you can see, as many of us are, a curator of great yarn, and I'm drawn to color, and shawl knitting allows me to play with those colors. I also enjoy gifting knits. And shawls are a great way for me to make things for my sisters or friends and give them away, and I've done that quite a bit. The first shawl that I'd like to show is a pattern, I believe it's called Salt. It is by Sylvia McFadden. It's a really interesting and simple geometric pattern, and something about it just called to me the first time I saw it. There was something really clean and modern about it, but because it's made with, I believe, a worsted weight, I think I'm using Malabrigo Rios. This is the yarn. It's this sort of pinky, purpley color. It has a little bit of lilac in it. It's very much tonal. It is Malabrigo Rios, and let me see if I can find the colorway. The colorway is Valentina. Okay, so it's Malabrigo Rios and Valentina. Really, really beautiful color. It's really chunky. This is what I have so far. I'm not even really sure yet which is the front and which is the back, or if it's even gonna matter. It does say to block it aggressively, and I think that that is gonna really make that beautiful pattern really distinct. Right now it's really kind of squishy and bunchy, but I think with a great blocking, it's gonna be an amazing piece, a finished piece. And I'm really excited. It's not a piece that I'm in any rush to finish. In fact, I think there's only one project that I really have a deadline for, and that's a gift knit for one of my sisters who is not a knitter. Neither of my sisters are knitters. And that brings me to this pattern. So this is a beautiful shawl. This is my second time knitting it. I will get you the information in a second. I'm sorry, I'm not as prepared as I would have been if I had done my usual overthinking. This is Exordium, and the designer is Rebecca Picot, who is also a yarn dyer. I think it's Fuse Fiber, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But it's a really easy pattern, and it's beautiful, and it looks really complicated. This stitch in particular is really, really interesting. There's a lot of texture. The only thing that stops me from making hundreds of these is because it's mostly perfect for the people who wear their shawls sort of bandana style, like scarves, which is really not how I mostly wear things. And the asymmetrical shape doesn't work as well for me for sort of wrapping up in. And so that's my only sort of issue with this. But it's a really clear pattern and fun because it keeps changing. The yarns I'm using are these really beautiful, rich, like turquoisey, and the purple is a Mad Tosh single in Medieval. It's the Tosh Merino Light. And I do not know if I have the band for the speckled. I don't think I do at the moment, and I apologize for all of this moving around and checking things out, but this is me flying by the seat of my pants, which I don't ever do. Okay, and we also have another shawl on the needles. This is really a fun pattern. If you can see, it has this really sort of tightly knit stocking net stitch in the middle, and then it is bordered by this really interesting floral cluster in a bright, very exciting yarn with variegation and flecks of colors and all of that. Suburban Stitcher, who is also a Texan and doesn't live far from me, although we've never met. this is her yarn in the sock base, and it's the tandoori color, and I don't know if it is backwards, it's looking backwards. Again, newbie, novice, flying by the seat of my pants. It is, I think, a free pattern. Let me see what I can tell you. Sorry. Let's see. It's called The Sea of Blossom. It has a name also written in a different language, and it is in 2 languages, I think. I think maybe German or Dutch, I'm not sure. I will say, fair warning, there are a couple errors that I found, so this would not be a great pattern for a brand new knitter. I'm not extremely experienced, and I could figure out the errors pretty easily. So if you're someone who has a bit of experience reading patterns, and you're paying attention, I think you can. But if you, I'm horrible at Ravelry. I don't have Ravelry pages yet, although I do have an account. But if you love the pattern as I did and are interested in doing it, you certainly should feel free to reach out to me, and I will give you those corrections, and eventually, hopefully, I will get that fixed, you know, up on Ravelry and a project page, and be able to help you with that way. But yeah, I think it's a gorgeous pattern. I think it would be really beautiful, perhaps with like a light background as well. I think the exciting part of it is the contrast between the cluster section and the stockinette section. Again, I haven't finished it, so I don't know how it's going to block out. I'm hoping that it gets bigger than it appears that it might be. This might end up being something that I end up giving away, although I'm kind of obsessed with the colors, so I don't know. Okay. And finally, sorry for the reaching, I, as many people do, have a Birds of the Feather, the Andrea Mowry mohair wispy pattern. I will say that I am mostly a process knitter. If we talk about process knitters, I don't have a good picture of it, unfortunately, but I think you've all seen it. If we talk about process knitters and product knitters, I'm definitely more in the process side, partly because of where I live, partly because of my fascination with color. I'm constantly changing ideas and moving to other projects, and my issue with the Birds of the Feather, well, let me start from the beginning. When I first saw it in the magazine, and again, I'm sorry, I'm winging it. I don't remember which magazine it was in, but it took my breath away. I thought, that's Max in the background, that's not my stomach. I thought it was one of the most beautiful knitwear pieces I had ever seen. I'm a romantic at heart. It was beautifully romantic and luscious and whimsical and airy, and I just fell in love. What I'm not in love with is knitting with mohair alone. It is not relaxing to me, and knitting is my zen place. And so I am a little bit uncomfortable is probably too strong a word, but it's not relaxing to me to knit with the mohair. I'm using hedgehog fibers in these glorious colors with really fun pops of neon yellow. I think it will be, you know, something really amazing. There's the front when it's done. I know it's in that awkward thong looking stage now, as people have described it. But this is just going to be something when I'm home, you know, and I'm inspired, I will pick it up and work on it, but it is not my sort of easy after school gravitate to this pattern kind of knit. I have a lot more whips, and I'm just going to experiment today, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing them. I do want to show one other thing. I do have an Etsy store where I make bags, because I'm obsessed with bags, and I have been obsessed with bags for a very, very long time. It's called Oh Joy Bags right now. It will be changing eventually to be named in honor of my mother, who passed away 2 years ago, and who was, definitely my best friend and, an incredible person and mother. She was a dancer, not a sewist, not a knitter, did not do handcrafts at all, and thought anything I did was really quite an anomaly. But she had a great maiden name, and it works really well. So I'm going to go from Oh Joy bags, which I've heard is taken, and if I want to grow this business at all, that would be problematic. So I will be renaming the brand Joan Mag Bags. And I think that's cute and allows me to do something sort of sweet in honor of my amazing mom. So Joan Mag Bags will be the new name, but I think there are a couple styles right now that are in the store. The first, and the one that I'm most excited about, is this sort of bucket bag style. It has a contrast bottom. It has a handle with the Oh Joy Bags label, which has one of these D-rings that has lots of these light bulb shaped stitch markers in colors to match. And then it's just a really nice big bucket with snaps. It rolls over, it can hold a ton. It's very sturdy, it's made of canvas. This print is a really fun kind of bird, tropical print with bright colors. So there are bags in the shop. I'll show you just some of the other. There's a kind of a light blue canvas right now. There's a really sweet denim that has some fun pink polka dots inside, and a white handle. There's a purple canvas that has this really pretty iridescent bluish, purplish fabric inside. This is a really sturdy quilted one. You can feel that there's a quilt batting, and it has the sort of purple ticking inside. And there is this pink canvas that has a fun sunglass print in it. There are two more, I think, that are in the shop. There's a sunglass fabric print with a bright orange. And there's another quilted fabric that's it's not actually quilted, it has that quilting batting. It has the bright green ticking inside and pineapples in hot pink. So, one more, this more sedate, black and khaki with this gorgeous mini houndstooth print inside, which I really love. There is also, I think, one of the little grandmother's flower garden pieced bags that has a really sweet peach opening. And then I have these other bags, which are not as knitting related, but I have loved in my own life, and they are these sweet cord bags, which if there's any interest in, I will certainly put those up in the shop as well. Eventually I should have, this is one of the summer drawstrings with these cute fabrics, the tiny little lobsters, which I love, and then this pink and white stripes, the anchors, very summery. So I have fabric to do Halloween bags, and if I can find some time before those become sort of obsolete, I will do that. I think that's all I have for today for this very first podcast. I'm going to try. We'll see if I can get this up on YouTube. We can figure out how to edit or put any kind of name and notes on it. Again, let's see. I am Rach Lee Book Girl on Instagram, I think. I'll double check that. And Rach Lee, R-A-C-H-L-E-E on Ravelry. And I just want to point out one other thing. If I can scoot up a little, you can see the t-shirt, Everything Started as Nothing, with the Coliseum on it. My middle son is an entrepreneur, has been since he practically came out of the womb. And my oldest son is now an entrepreneur. My daughter's working for a startup in a foreign country. So they have all and always encouraged me to do something with my passions and to put myself out there. My middle son coined this phrase, everything started as nothing, when he was a teenager, and it became sort of a entrepreneurial mantra in places around the world. And he had these t-shirts made, and when I'm wearing it, it reminds me that whatever we do, or whatever we dream of doing, we have to start. That's it, we have to start. We have to just take the first scary step and start. And everything starts with nothing. So that's all I have for you. I will come up with a name for this, I suppose. And I will, if I find that people are interested in this, I'll do it again. So thank you. Today is, I think, Sunday the 14th of October. I don't know how long it'll take me to get this up, or if you'll see it, or when you'll see it, but thanks for watching. Bye.